asylum. We should immediately have the capacity to absorb them, keep them safe until they can be heard.
Now, candidate Biden sounded compassionate and firm about immigration. Here's what he promised. He said that Trump has waged an unrelenting assault on our values and our history as a nation of immigrants. It's wrong, and it stops when Joe Biden is elected president. Well, President Biden is having a hard time living up to that promise. Immigration advocates who've already been waiting 30 years are disappointed with the slow pace of reform. And the right wing is pressuring the Biden administration to take a firmer stance to stem the tide of a record 1.7 million migrants arrested at the southern border. Today was another harsh reminder that this policy stalemate has a painful human cost. Human Rights Watch obtained documents detailing at least 160 cases of abuse by Customs and Border Patrol officers and ICE officials against migrants at the border. The documented cases include physical abuse, molestation, sexual assault from law enforcement towards migrants seeking safety. So what can and what will the Biden administration do? Joining us to discuss are Executive Director of the UndocuBlack Network, Patrice Lawrence, and Director with Human Rights Watch, Clara Long. Clara, let's start with you. Who is responsible for abuse at the border?
Well, that was an amazing way to start this segment because the responsibility at this point goes all the way up. There were promises made to have a system with transparency and accountability that treats people with dignity and humanity. And instead, what we have at this point in October of 2021 is the continuation of a racially discriminatory, harmful system that is literally, as these reports show, causing harm every day to people who are caught up in it at the border. One thing I want to emphasize about the reports that we have in our release today, these are internal reports. These are not reports that are coming from outside of the Department of Homeland Security. These are actually reports from officials within the very agency that they relate to, saying, hey, there's a problem here. And in some cases involving, as you said, physical abuse, sexual assault, including of children. And with very little indications that the department has done anything with them, investigated them, followed up with them, provided redress and justice to those who are harmed. So we need a massive sea change in the Biden administration's approach to this issue.
Patrice, let's bring you into this because you saw what Customs and Border Patrol was doing at the border with the Haitian migrants. They were reenacting effectively images that we'd seen from the Jim Crow era. So this culture that has been created, is one administration enough to unpack and change a culture of law enforcement that dehumanizes migrants?
Absolutely. One administration can do it. We saw many loopholes being pulled when Trump went into office. If Biden wanted to correct this, he could do that tomorrow morning. I'm not saying it wouldn't be difficult. I'm not saying he wouldn't have to fire a lot of people. But what I am saying is that if there was a will, there's absolutely a way. The reports from Human Rights Watch are from 2016 to 2021. That is under Biden's watch, which means nothing much has changed. That the Trump era is still reigning through right now. And unfortunately, we're not going to have videos and imagery for every abuse that takes place. And so it is up to him to do the right thing. And it definitely goes from Secretary Mayorkas all the way to the vice president and, of course, President Biden, because they made a promise to us.
The Customs and Border Patrol nominee, Christopher Magus, said this week that he thinks Title 42 is a necessary public health tool. That is the effectively racist policy that's only applied at the southern border. It doesn't apply at other ports of entry like airports. It definitely doesn't apply at the northern border. So again, how is that culture change going to happen when even the Biden person supports this policy?
You know, when you do a comparison, right? So this week as well, a lot happened. We also had the 1 year anniversary of the deportation flight to Cameroon, where people were shackled using something called the wrap. It is something that is painful. It squeezes their legs, it squeezes their waist, and it squeezes their arms together. It's supposed to be used only in extreme circumstances. And instead, it was used for almost everyone on those deportation flights a year ago. So, when you're talking about an agency that is using these cruel tactics on innocent Black people who have come asking for protection, a legal right for protection, right? How then are we expecting them to be any better at using Title 42? Title 42 is racist, and they're fully aware of that. But at every turn, the Biden Harris administration has chosen to side with Trump. It is disgraceful. But when we see the extreme patterns that they have done, including this restraint called the wrap, Title 42 is almost the least of our problems. We have a real issue with the morality of this administration. They are cruel, they are evil, and they don't believe that Black people deserve any type of care and compassion. I'm very worried.
Clara, let's bring you in on this, specifically because you mentioned the reports that were internal, that nobody acted on. That continues to point to the culture of lack of morality within law enforcement at the border. So what can the Biden administration do?
The Biden, as as Patrice was saying, the Biden administration can do a lot. Where there's a will, there's a way to do this. It's been said by Department of Homeland Security former officials that if the CBP was a local police department and somewhere around the United States, the Department of Justice would be all over that with a civil rights investigation. And so why can't that happen? And that should be happening now for this agency. The Department of Justice should be opening what's called a pattern and practice of civil rights violations investigation of this agency. They should be bringing the entire resources of the federal government to bear on fixing this problem. And I think a key thing here, and you're raising Title 42 also sort of points to this, is actually following through on the promise to provide access to asylum for people who are coming to the border. And part of that is responding at the border in a way that actually directly addresses humanitarian needs at the border and protection needs at the border. In the same way that police reform needs to proceed by addressing public policy challenges with the right tools, the border needs the right tools, which is a humanitarian response, not a law enforcement one that treats unarmed Black and brown immigrants as security threats.
Patrice, is that the binary, though, that it's either the good of the American people or hurting immigrants, that those two things are necessarily go hand in hand?
I don't think they have to. I don't think they have to at all. There's so much that the Biden administration can do. Since we last spoke, they actually reinstated humanitarian parole for Haitians, but they've done it selectively, right? That is a choice. All of these things are choices. They have so many things in their toolbox that they could roll out immediately should they choose to do so. We are seeing what's going on in the Senate and in the House. They can immediately pass some legislation that would give someone like me citizenship. They could do that immediately.
And actually, Patrice, let me jump in
to.
right there. Let me jump in right there, because that's the sticking point, is the ability to pass legislation. And so is the Biden administration caught between a rock and a hard place? The morality, right, of trying to make culture change and treat people better versus the reality of what the right wing and Republicans want to see happen, which is even more draconian policies.
That is a Sophie's choice. That's a false choice. It's an absolute false choice. And Trump definitely did not have that dilemma. Trump decided what he was going to do. If Biden is supposed to be the antithesis of Trump, he needs to really be a decent human being all the way. And I'll tell you what, a decent human being keeps their promises. A decent human being treats everyone with dignity and respect. A decent human being both make sure that anyone who comes into the US and is asking for protection is given a fair chance to be able to do that. And you know what they do as well? They make sure that they use everything in their power to pass the best legislation to legalize individuals because they want to reduce harm. And Biden has the opportunity to do that before the midterms, as does the vice president. They can do it in reconciliation. They have the power, and they must do so.
Clara, last word to you. We've got about a minute left together.
Absolutely. You know, if the Biden administration had cleaved to principle and focused on following through on those promises, they would have something to defend right now. And instead, they have this policy that is just wreaking havoc on people's lives.
Well, we'll stick around to keep track of those policies because the Remain in Mexico policy, that's another Trump-era one that might be reinstituted. So a lot to unpack in the coming days. Thank you both for joining us tonight, Clara Long and Patrice Lawrence. Appreciate you.